Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another Sword of Convallaria video, and today we are going to do a new player guide for Sword of Convallaria. I'm going to cover account levels 1, like just getting started, to account level 30, which took me a week as a free-to-play player. We're going to set you up for success with summoning in the gacha. I'm going to tell you what content to spend your energy in the game on for the first week to get you off to the best start possible. This is not a hard game to jump into, but you can really set your account behind if you're not spending any money by starting wrong. So I did this as a free-to-play player. If you spend a few dollars in the game, this is going to be a lot better experience for you. And if you're whaling, well, I mean, then you're whaling and it's going to be that much better of a, experience. Do spend how you want to spend. This guide is going to be from a free-to-play perspective. Now, the first thing I want to mention, what I think you should do immediately, because I'm going to start with talking about the gacha, re-rolling, should you do it, you're going to want to find yourself one of these. You're going to want to find a tier list. Now, this is one I got from Hockey's channel, and this is current to like the part of the game I am right now at 3/29/2025. There's characters on this tier list that have yet to come out. This tier list is full of characters that have already come out. The first thing you want to do is find one of these from a website or a content creator that you trust, because you're going to be pulling on the gacha pretty much straight away. I think by the time you get through the tutorial, you have 20 pulls, and those first 20 pulls are going to be very important. My recommendation is it doesn't take very long to reroll in this game, so go to whatever the current character's banner is. Like this one right here is Kavare. Kavare is a very, very like, what do I want to say? He's a top tier character in this game. So put those first 20 pulls into his banner. You want to hit a rainbow pull where you get a legendary character. If it's the on-banner character, awesome. You've accomplished a big goal and you don't have to worry about this banner anymore. You're just done pulling for a while because you got the current on-banner character, and you can wait to see what the next newest great character is before you start pulling more, or you can move to the new player summons, which I don't have on the screen anymore, but it's a guaranteed legendary in the first 30 pulls. Now, if you hit an off-banner character on this, that's where it becomes really important to have the tier list. So when I started my account, I hit Pamina. You can see I'm kind of mousing over her right here. She is a really good character and has carried my account through the first 30 levels, but it was on SP Saphia's banner, who is a tier 0 character according to this list. So what I did, I took that Pamina and I was like, that's a really good starting point. That's somebody I can invest my materials into. That's somebody who can help me get my account going. And I just went from there. Then as I gathered more and more Luxite, I went back to SP Saphia's banner. She was the current newest character. I eventually pulled her and then started saving for Kavare, the current banner that you see here. So my advice for re-rolling is this. I think you should start by getting a legendary character in your first 20 rolls in the game. And if you don't get one, I'd start over. Do you have to re-roll? No. This game, you can push through the content in this game using epic characters, using whatever you're pulling, maybe a character from the new player banner. But if your goal is to like push the hardest content in the game, newer characters tend to be better than older characters. Find yourself a tier list, pull until you get a legendary, and then either re-roll again or keep your legendary, move forward, and keep trying to find the newest, greatest character to come out. I do think you should do the new player pulls because it's a guaranteed legendary. Many people will use that guaranteed legendary as their point for should I re-roll, because all the new characters are on there, but there's also the really old characters on there. And it's the one thing with my account that I don't love. I'd say I did my account about 90% of the way perfect, but on my new player banner, I got Garcia, who's not the greatest character in this game, and in fact, I'm not even throwing my leveling materials and rank up materials into her because I'm doing this as a free-to-play player. Which brings me to my next point. What you're not going to want to do in that first week of the game is just start leveling everybody up. Just come through here and being like, oh, Flame Sorceress, make her level 20. Oh, Divine Grace, make him level 20. You're going to want to have a core team, a core group of characters that are going to be carrying you. Now, there are very good epic characters in this game. Darkin, for example, currently hard carrying my account as an epic level character. He will start to fall off as I get closer to the end game, maybe, but this dude's great. Still, I'm using Pamina, New Saphia, Kavare here, old Sophia, I got her randomly on a pull. And then you have Mytha and Feical that the game will just give you. You will eventually get a Rawia from the game, but that's not going to be in the first 30 account levels. Feical and Mytha, worth using if they fit your team. You're going to want a tank, somebody like Mytha who can take damage for you. You're going to want a healer, somebody like Angel, who the game just gives you for free. Now, currently, I'm leaning in more to my SP Sophia as my healer support, but I will use Angel eventually, and she's a great healer. Leveling up a character like this as your supporter, as your healer for your team is great. So get yourself Mytha leveled up or another tank that you got, get yourself Angel leveled up, and then get yourself a nice mix of like magic and physical damage for this first week in the game, keeping in mind that if you can pull stuff from something like a tier list and be leveling those up, or go look online for people's videos about like the best epic characters in the game, that's a better long-term investment. And if you're a free-to-play player especially, that's important because materials will become scarce. Early on in the game, it's going to feel like you have a ton of EXP to level up your characters. You will run out. It's going to feel like you have a ton of rank up materials. Those are things you're going to have to farm. You'll run out. Leveling up gear. Don't go crazy leveling up gear in these first 30 account levels. If you got some really good legendary gear that you like, go ahead and invest in that a little bit. There's also some really good epic pieces of gear out there. You can invest into those, but just you don't have to worry about gear so much for these first 30 account levels. As an example, I will show you my current gear. I have one thing at level 30, a couple things at level 20, and then just kind of a bunch of stuff that I might take to 20. We'll talk about that more here in a second. You just don't have to go crazy with your gear. Again, resources are scarce. The longer you play, the more things that are going to come to your account. The longer you can wait to make a decision on what you're leveling up, the more efficient you will be being with your resources. Now, this is that point where if you're paying money to play the game, you're just going to have access to more resources, access to more packs, and you'll have a better experience there. If you're free to play like this account, I'm just being very targeted. So when I get to the later point of the game, I'm set up for success by kind of hoarding some of my resources. Now, that's my advice with that. Okay, now back to my notes because I'm an old man and I wrote stuff down. As a new player, there's a couple things you're going to want to concentrate on in terms of content to push. The first one is the Fool's Journey. Now, the Fool's Journey, you're going to start in the prologue. You'll push for this no problem. But as you get to chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and you can see at account level 30, I am just into chapter 4. And if you look, I did not 3-star the last thing I did in chapter 4. The Fool's Journey is difficult for where you're at on your account. It's a good measuring stick for like, am I strong enough to keep going? If you're not strong enough to keep pushing Fool's Journey, that's where you want to be paying attention every single day to Voyage Memento. This tells you exactly what to be doing with your energy when you're not pushing Fool's Journey. And it's very important that you get these done every day. Like, come in here, see what you can do in Fool's Journey, and if you're able to do it, do it. For example, you can see I just unlocked Phase 5 today, but to finish Phase 5 and literally get Rawia, a legendary character, for free, I have to gain the extra reward from level up training 3 times. You only get the extra reward once a day. So I need to make sure I'm doing this every single day. So it only takes me 3 days to complete Phase 5. Then I move on to Phase 6, which will give me a legendary weapon for Rawia. Then I'll do the same thing. I get a duplicate of her. The prizes in Voyage Memento are very, very good. Phase 1 immediately gives you 10 pulls. Phase 2 gives you Mytha for free. It's actually a duplicate of her at this point. Phase 3 gives you a weapon for her. Phase 4 gives you an entire pull worth of Luxite. And then Phase 5, where I am, you're getting Rawia. This is about how far you can expect to get in your first week if you're doing it right. Focus on this. So energy expenditure, you're going to want to be pushing the Fool's Journey, because the Fool's Journey will be the thing that unlocks all these other stages where Voyage Memento is going to take you. And a beautiful thing about this game, if you're like, well, what is extra rewards from Rank Up Trial? You click now, it'll take you straight there. It'll just take you where you need to go. So the game's very good at like hot linking, I guess, kind of where you need to be. And that's really nice quality of life about this game. So spend your energy clearing Voyage Memento. You can see it just above my camera, or pushing the Fool's Journey. Now, when you run out of energy, there is plenty to do in this game. Yes, energy system and gacha games suck. You can see I'm tapped out right now, 13 out of 240, and I could come in here and be like, oh man, I could use my I could use Luxite. Don't do this. Don't refresh with Luxite. I don't recommend it unless you're a spender. You will get endurance potions. Some of them are time limited. Feel free to use these. Don't let your time limited endurance potions run out. But I only have one of those left. I'm not close to leveling up. I'm out of energy. What do you do then? You come in here and you do Spiral of Destinies. Now, in my opinion, Spiral of Destinies is the greatest content in Sword of Convallaria. It's not necessarily the hardest content, but this is where you get to experience the story of the game in a way where your choices matter. You can pick kind of like, you play the Mercenary Guild, Sword of Convallaria, and I'm going to say spoiler free, but you play within the factions of the game for control of the world. You progress the story based on your choices. And you can see right here, I'll zoom out. At this point, this right here is the tutorial of the game. You watch this cutscene right when you start. Then you will start over and immediately you see how, because you know what's going to happen, you change the outcome of an event. After you do that, there's 2 new branches. I went with this branch. From this branch in the game, there were 3 different paths the story could take. There's 4. One of them is up here. I don't know, there's 4. I took path this one. And then here I am going down that path. It'll branch off more times. In fact, at this point, there is even, whoops, wrong button. There is even a next part to this. Night Crimson is like the sequel to the first part of the game. You're going to really enjoy Spiral of Destinies. And one of my favorite things about it is, in the main game, in this version of the game, a character like Angel has the abilities that she has. And as you level up Angel, as you rank her up and unlock her newer abilities, everyone's Angel has the same abilities. In Spiral of Destinies, you custom make your own characters by doing quests, by leveling them up. It is a very different experience than the base game, and it is the best way to experience the story, in my opinion. So there is a ton to do, and the rewards from it are incredibly good. You get a lot of Luxite. You will start the game with this event called Dawn, and you can see Dawn gives you 2,500 Luxite. I am almost done with it after a week. There's only 200 left for me to get. It also gives you things like, here's a legendary piece of gear. It gives you leveling and ranking up materials. Super worth doing. And you will just kind of automatically be completing this as you play through the Spiral of Destinies. There are also a ton of achievements here in Destiny Traces that you'll complete by paying Spiral of Destinies. All of these are worth 30 Luxite. You will get, there's remembrances. You can see I'm at 14 out of 84. There's these emblems. I am at, 0 out of 21 so far here. So lots of achievements to get in there, a lot of Luxite. And again, especially if you're a free-to-play player and not buying pulls, you want to be getting as much Luxite as you can so you can get those newer, better characters. So weeks down the road, when your account is trying to kill in-game bosses, you have the characters that can help you do that, even if you are supplementing with your epic level characters like a Darken, like a Crimson Falcon, who you will get all the dupes of just by playing the game. Angel, same thing there. There's really good epic level characters. That's not what this video is about. If you're using somebody and you think that they are going to be good for your account, maybe somebody like a Bitterwort as your healer, good. Invest in them, level them up, and then maybe later you pull somebody better. Like, pivoting on your character choices later isn't a terrible thing. Pivoting on all of your character choices later because you made really bad decisions at first will ruin your account, will really slow your progress down, I should say. Okay, so that's what you should do in the game. My most useful epics so far, I'm just going to tell you for this account. My most useful epics have been Darken, Angel, Crimson Falcon, Ray Shot, and I can tell you from previous experience, this is my second time playing the game, Suppression was really good as a tank, but I wouldn't invest in him early because you'll get Mytha for free. And Mytha could do a lot of good tanking for you in the Fool's Journey, in the content for the first week of the game. Suppression, kind of a niche tank later on, and most of these epic characters, now that I'm thinking about it, are niche characters for specific fights in the game later. Doesn't mean they're bad, it just means stick with your OP legendaries that you pulled, and maybe just some of your most clutch epic characters, keeping in mind that Angel, duplicates of her will be given to you for free. Same with Crimson Falcon. You can see I already have Crimson Falcon at 5 stars, so very powerful unit there in the early game. you're not going to have a problem with number of units, especially if you're doing some polling. And I do highly recommend getting the on banner character when you play, unless they happen to release a new character and they're bad. Okay, that's about all the advice I have for a new player. So that's how I played. Now, when you get into weeks 2, 3, and 4, you're going to be thinking a lot more about like what gear to level up, what Terra Whispers to level up, things like that. But this advice here is for the first week of the game. And I think for the first week of the game, play through it how I explained. You're going to have all your resources saved. You'll be ready to start investing in whatever you're needing to, power spiking your characters, and going into your first month of the game, pushing through the content, pushing through. So that's my advice for new players. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll try to write up some answers for those, or maybe somebody else in the community can answer for you. And that's it for this one, guys. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.